Riders of the Stars, a book of Western verse. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Riders of the Stars, a book of Western verse, by Herbert Knibbs. To R.F. Men know him for sterling worth, for vigour and pride and wit. He who girdled the glowing earth and fashioned a song of it. Men know him of many things, master in hall and mart. But I know the voice that sings deep in his steadfast heart. His shield to the world I know, and his toil-worn coat of mail, the clear keen eye with the battle glow, when hazard or wrong assail. Proud is my heart that I see more than the passing sea, in his love of the magic western sky, and the mountains' wizardry. Rifle and rope and spur, trail and the wayside fire, soul of the true adventurer, singing his heart's desire, e'en while the great wheels roll, ceaseless and grim and slow, but the gods of gold may not grind his soul into the dust below. Fetters that bind his hands he snaps with a magic word. As fearless, frank, and immune he stands, singing of trail and herd, nights and the southern stars, dawn and a land of gold, leading souls through their prison bars, bidding their eyes behold. Men know him for sterling worth, for vigour and pride and wit, to challenge tears or the leap of mirth, as he strikes to the soul of it. Men know him for many things. I, standing alone apart, know that an unknown poet sings deep in his steadfast heart. End of poem, read by Alan Mapstone. The Shallows of the Ford by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Did you ever wait for daylight when the stars along the river floated thick and white as snowflakes in the water deep and strange, till a whisper through the aspens made the current break and shiver, as the frosty edge of morning seemed to melt and spread and change? Once I waited, almost wishing that the dawn would never find me, saw the sun roll up the ranges like the glory of the Lord, was about to wake my partner, who was sleeping close behind me, when I saw the man we wanted spur his pony to the ford. Saw the ripples of the shallows and the muddy streaks that followed, as the pony stumbled toward me in the narrows of the bend. Saw the face I used to welcome, wild and watchful, lined and hollow, and God knows I wished to warn him, for I once had called him friend. But an oath had come between us. I was paid by law and order. He was outlaw, rustler, killer, so the border whisper ran. Left his word in Caliente that he'd crossed the Rio border. Call me coward, but I hailed him, riding close to daylight, Dan? Just a hair and he'd have got me, but my voice and not the warning caught his hand and held him steady. Then he nodded, spoke my name, reined his pony round and fanned it in the bright and silent morning, back across the sunlit Rio, up the trail on which he came. He had passed his word to cross it, I had passed my word to get him. We broke even and we knew it. 'Twas a case of give and take. For old times I could have killed him from the brush. Instead I let him ride his trail. I turned, my partner flung his arm and stretched awake. Saw me standing in the open, pulled his gun and came beside me. Asked a question with his shoulder as his left hand pointed toward muddy streaks that thinned and vanished. Not a word, but hard he eyed me as the water cleared and sparkled in the shallows of the ford. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Riders of the Stars by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. 20 abreast down the Golden Street, 10,000 riders marched. Bow-legged boys in their swinging chaps, all clumsily keeping time, and the angel host to the lone last ghost, their delicate eyebrows arched, as the swaggering sons of the open range drew up to the throne sublime. Gaunt and grizzled a Texas man from out of the concourse strode, and doffed his hat with a rude rough grace, then lifted his eagle head. The sunlit air on his silvered hair and the bronze of his visage glowed. Master, the boys have a talk to make on the things up here, he said. A hush ran over the waiting throng as the cherubim replied, He that readeth the hearts of men, he deemed your challenge strange. Though he long hath known that ye crave your own, that ye would not walk but ride, O restless sons of the ancient earth, ye men of the open range. Then warily spoke the Texas man, a petition and no complaint. We here present, if the law allows, and the master he thinks it fit. We all agree to the things that be, but we're longing for things that ain't. So we took a vote and we made a plan, and here is the plan we writ. Give us a range and our horses and ropes, open the pearly gates, and turn us loose in the unfenced blue, riding the sunset rounds, hunting each stray in the Milky Way, and running the rancho straight, not crowding the doggy stars too much on their way to the bedding grounds. Maverick comets that's running wild, we'll rope 'em and brand 'em fair, so they'll quit stampeding the starry herd and scaring the folks below, and we'll save 'em prime for the round-up time, and we riders'll all be there, ready and willing to do our work as we did in the long ago. We've studied the ancient landmarks, sir, Taurus, the Bear, and Mars, and Venus a-smiling across the west, as bright as a burning coal. Plain to guide as we punchers ride, night-herding the little stars, with Saturn's rings for our home corral, and the Dipper our water hole. Here we have nothing to do but yarn of the days that have long gone by, and our singing it doesn't fit up here, though we've tried it for old time's sake. Our hands are itching to swing a rope, and our legs are stiff, That's why we ask you, master, to turn us loose. Just give us an even break. Then the Lord he spake to the cherubim, and this was his kindly word. He that keepeth the threefold keys shall open and let them go. Turn these men to their work again, to ride with the starry herd. My glory sings in the toil they crave, 'tis their right, I would have it so. Have you heard in the starlit dusk of eve, when the lone coyotes roam, the yip 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 of a hunting cry, and the echo that shrilled afar? As you listened still on a desert hill, and gazed at the twinkling dome, and a viewless rider swept the sky on the trail of a shooting star. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Largo by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by Larry Thomas. Bought him of the Navajos, shadow of a pony. Over near the Largo draw, running up and down. 20 pesos turned the trick, broke me cold and stony. Then I set to figure as I rambled into town. For I had the feel of him, twice he liked to throwed me. He didn't have to figure sums, 'cause he wasn't broke. Then he took to running, and unknown like he showed me speed that was surprising in a $20 joke. Wiry little Navajo, no bigger than a minute, did a heap of resting up when he got the chance, but ever stop a pinwheel just to locate what was in it? Find an unexpected you was setting on your pants? That was him, that Largo horse. Didn't take to schooling. Relayed out of Cayenne into Santa Fe. 50 mile of kicking sand and not a wink of fooling when he hit the desert trail winding down that way. Once they put a bloodied horse on the trail behind him. Passed me like a Kansas blow, Largo didn't mind. Kept a running strong and sweet. Reckoned that we'd find him like we did in 20 Mile, busted, broken blind. Ever see a engine race? Times I could a sold him for a dozen cattle a most interesting price. Set to figuring again, bought the mare that foaled him. Shucks, her colts, they couldn't beat a herd of hobble mice. Took the brush and curry comb, thought he'd understand it. Him a loafing lazy with his nose across the bars. Reckon dudes come natural as hard as he could land it. He drove home his opinion while I gathered up the stars. That was him, the Largo horse. Never saw another desert horse could beat him when he started out to float. Pedigree? He hadn't none. A pony was his mother, and judging from his looks, I guess his father was a goat. That's him now a-standing there sleepy like and dreaming. Tell him? Thought you'd ask me that? Northern mail is late, just 3 hours. No, not today, partner, without seeming brash. From here to Santa Fe we'll wipe it off the slate. Bought him of the Navajos, broke me cold and stony, but I got a roll today. Tell you what I'll do, riding south? Well, partner, I'll just give you that there pony. If he ain't in Santa Fe, 3 hours ahead of you. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Chance by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Lawley. Chance, 60 miles from a homestead, straight as the crow can fly, we camped in the Dentwood foothills. Mineral yes, and gold. 3 of us in the outfit, the Burrow, the Chance, and I. Chance wasn't more than a pup then, going on 2-year-old. Already he knew the music that a desert rattler makes. When glimmering under a yucca, he'd seen him boil to spring. But he didn't need no teaching to keep him away from snakes. You should see his tail go under when he heard a rattler sing. Town folks called him the killer, and I reckon that they was right. Deep in the chest, wolf-muscled and quicker than fire in tow, but one of the kind that never went out his way to fight, though he'd tackle a corral of wildcats if I gave him the word to go. There was more to him than his fighting. He was wise. It was right good fun to see him using his headpiece when the sun was a frying eggs, trailing along with the outfit and cheating the desert sun by keeping into the shadow right close to my burrow's legs. I knew that some day I'd lose him, for the desert she don't wait long. Horses and dogs and humans, none of them get too old. Gold looks good in a story and sounds right good in a song, but the men that go out and get it, they know what they pay for gold. If I struck a ledge that showed me $1,000,000, the whole thing mine, I'd turn it over tomorrow, and never so much a glance at the papers the law sharks frame up and hand you a pen to sign. For I look at my old side partner, the killer that I called Chance. Why? Well, my eyes one morning was blinking to shake a dream, and Chance was sleeping beside me, breathing it long and deep. When I saw a awful something, and I felt I was like to scream, there was a big brown rattler coiled in my arm, asleep. Move, and I knew he'd get me. Waiting, I held my breath, feeling the sun get warmer, wondering what to do, trying to keep my eyes off that shining and sudden death. When Chance he lifted his head up, and slow come the rattlers too. "Take him," I tried to whisper. Maybe I did, I know. Chance's neck was a bristle, and his eyes on the coiled up snake. Its head was a-moving gently, like weeds when the south wind blows. When Chance jumped in, the killer do that for a partner's sake? I'd like to think that I'd do it up there in the far-off blue. Oh, master, he sits a-judding such things. Can you tell me why? Knowing what he had coming, he went at it fighting true, tore that snake into ribbons, then crawled to the bush to die. Never come near me after, knew that he got his gore. How come I went and shot him, God? I can see his eyes. See where those pointed shadows run down that coffin wall? That there's his tombstone, stranger, bigger than money buys. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Mesa Magic by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by Giordano. Speak in general of hosses in a kind of offhand way. See the mesa stealing splendor from the magic of the sun, and the flowers nodding in the grass like children at their play. That there Toby hoss of mine was lots of fun. Just how much that hoss could say, course he couldn't read, but well, while the mountain shadows mingling lay like pools above the sand, as the gentle padre climbs the stair to ring the mission bell, that there Toby hoss could always understand. Did you ever know a hoss to fall in love? Some funny, too, making music o'er the silence of the eventide aglow, with the Spanish girls' serapes, red and yellow, pink and blue. Yes, that Toby hoss he set up for a beau. He used to come and nicker soft, peekin' through the bars, till the pretty colors vanish in the swift and starry change of the sky from blue to velvet black and silver flame of stars. At a lady hoss he fancied on the range. He'd act now powerful polite and bow his head to get some grass. Desert magic and the mystery of an Arizona night, while across the brown adobes flitting shadows form and pass. There is no use talking. Toby was polite. But that lady hoss was scornful, fat, and acted like a goat, dancing shadows of the pepper tree by desert breeze caressed, while the little owl awakens with his hushed and plaintive note. But of all the hosses, Toby liked her best. 'Twas a interestin' courtin', with the lined fence in between, to the moonlight like a fairy mist upon the mesa spread, and the world is but a bubble in the soft and silver sheen. Say, I reckon you ain't heard a word I said.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Desert by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Lawley. The desert. 'Twas the lean coyote told me, bearing his slavish soul, as I counted the ribs of my dead cayuse and cursed at the desert sky, the tale of the upland rider's fate, while I dug in the water hole for a taste, a drop of the bitter seep. But the water hole was dry. He came, said the lean coyote, and cursed as his pony fell, and he counted his pony's ribs aloud, yea, even as you have done. He raved as he ripped at the clay-red sand, like an imp from the pit of hell, shriveled with thirst for 1,000 years, and craving a drop, just one. His name, I asked, as he answered, yawning to hide a grin. His name is writ on the prison roll, and many a place beside. At last he scribbled it on the sand, with a finger seared and thin, and I watched his face as he spelled it out, and laughed and laughed and died. And thus, said the lean coyote, his need is the hungry's feast, and mine I fumbled and pulled my gun and emptied it wild and fast. But one of the crazy shots went home and silenced the waiting beast. There lay the shape of the liar, dead. 'Twas I that should laugh the last. Laugh? Nay now, I would write my name as the upland rider wrote. Write? What need? For before my eyes was a wide and wavery line. I saw the trace of a written word, and letter by letter float into the mist as the world grew dark, and I knew that the name was mine. Dreams and visions within the dream, turmoil and fire and pain, hands that proffered a brimming cup, empty air I could take. Then the burst of a thunderhead rain. It was rude, fierce rain. Blindly down to the hole I crept, shivering, drenched, awake. Dawn and I saw the red-rimmed sun scatter golden flame. As stumbling down the water hole came the horse that I thought was dead, but never a sign of the other beast, nor the trace of a rider's name. Just a rain-washed track and an empty gun, and the old home trail ahead. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Last of the Cavaliers by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Never more shall the ranges ring as once when ye loped along. Only the timid echoes sing old memories of your song. Now what need that ye ride the line, numb in the winter snow? Fallen the far-seen upland pine, fenced are the plains below. Out where the lone coyote shrills, limbed on the desert sand, under the moon of the eastern hills, bearing that ghostly land, gleams the rim of the water hole, white with no print of hoof. Ye would not know that yon shadowed knoll is the ridge of a nester's roof. Still in Sonora's marketplace gather the laughing girls, each a rose in the ebon lace, filming her dusty curls. Gaze serrape and eyes alight with the glint of a southern pride, born of a kiss in the summer night, wondering where ye ride. Ye rode singing down 1,000 trails, drifting from change to change, dreaming of where the eagle sails over the open range. Proud ye held to your heart's desire, scorning the newer years, lost in the glow of the sunset fire, last of the Cavaliers. So ye went to your unknown end, answering jest with jest, recking naught where the trail might wend, men of the golden west, spurring a rain-loose race with chance, riding it hard and straight, living unguessed the true romance, daring to love and hate. Have ye dreamed of the mesa grass, starred with the flower of blue? Morning haze in the mountain pass, sage in the silver dew, blush of the manzanita bloom, bud of the almond tree, yucca hid in the canyon gloom, drone of the questing bee. Now ye ride in the sunset glow, e'en as ye did of old, twain and twain as ye used to go, brave in a flare of gold, each his law and all unamazed, facing the phantom plains, foot clear home and an arm upraised to the music of bridal reins. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Far and Lonely Hill by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Lawley. Over the Malibu we rode the range together, three as lively buckaroos as ever fought a horse, playing jokes and singing songs in every kind of weather, and anything we tackled, why, it had to come across. Sage a-shining in the rain, sun just breaking cover, tail to wind, the ponies standing thoughtfully like and still, while across the morning comes the cheeping of the plover, hiding in the shadow of the far and lonely hill. Funny how we never thought that it was drawing nearer, edging closer every day, that lonely hill it came. Walking in the sunshine we could see it big and clearly, but we kept a-riding and a-singing just the same. Little hours a-looking back solemn like and blinking, sunlight dancing on the sand and burning out the grass. Summer round the water hole, the crowding steers all drinking, just before we push 'em to the range beyond the pass. Seems we didn't sing so much, ropes they did the singing, ponies' feet they played the tune, other riders told. All the yarns and sprung the jokes and kept the laughter ringing. Even then we didn't know that we was growing old. 2 of us was left to ride the Malibu together, and sitting by the fire at night, so solemn-like and still, we began to notice every little change of weather. Shivering in the shadow of the far and lonely hill, knew we had to climb it, knew the trail was mighty narrow, made a handshake on it that the next to go that way would kind of blaze the turns with our old brand, the double arrow, so the last to follow wouldn't lose the trail and stray. Down below I see the herd a-dust a-rolling nigher, morning on the Malibu, where once we used to ride. Ponies fretting on the bit, we can't go any higher. I reckon if we got to go, it's down the other side. Sage a-shining in the sun that's just a-breaking cover, all around the ranges looming high and cold and still, as from the other valley comes the cheeping of the plover, and I see the double arrow pointing down the lonely hill. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Ranger and the Bear by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by Melissa DeSantis. The Ranger and the Bear. Up in the high Sierras where they overlook the Kern, there's a trail on the edge of nothing, and a mile by the plumb below is a tomb for the upland rider that is fool enough to turn his hoss till he reaches the meadows beyond where the mountain daisies grow. The sun was painting the eastern peaks with a kind of running fire, but a morning chill was in the air, as keen as an eagle's claw. I was riding slouched and easy-like and singing of heart's desire when my pony stopped, though the rein was slack, and my singing stopped. I saw, black on the cliff, a something bigger than any man. Blur, 'twas an old she-grizzly, blocking the trail ahead. She talked to the cubs beside her, and they turned at her growl and ran as my hand slid down my holster, but I changed my mind. Instead, I off my horse, stepped forward, and raising my hat polite, but I raised my hat left-handed, my right being filled and pat, I said to that old bear lady, "Now, it isn't my wish to fight, or I'd set to fanning my 6-gun instead of tipping to you my hat." And, pardner, would you believe it? She dropped to the ledge and swung, turned where a hoss couldn't make it, and took after them cubs of hern. And I stood there looking foolish, where a bunch of them blue flowers hung over the edge of nothing, smiling down on the river Kern. My Cayuse was a-shaking and a-sweating. He was chilly, and so was I. How come I swung into the saddle and got him a-moving slow, but I quit my glass-eyed gazing at the colors across the sky and took to surveying the landscape just ahead where we had to go. Maybe a half-hour later we was pushing across the line where a rock joins to the timber when I spied a few rods away the back of that old she-grizzly. I went for that gun of mine. Then, thinks I, she is minding her business, so I'll tend to my own today. Just a-guarding her headstrong young ones, doing the best she can, willing to do the wise thing, game, but not looking to fight. Pretty good rule for a human. Oh, I guess I'm an easy man. But the grizzly and me broke even, 'cause the both of us was polite. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sunlight by Henry Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by ShrimpPhish. Sunlight, a colt from the ranges, glossy and gentle and strong. Dazed by the multiple thunder of wheels and the thrust of the sea, fretted and chafed at the changes. Ah, but the journey was long. Officer's charger, a wonder. Pick of the stables was he. Flutter of flags in the harbor, rumble of guns in the street. England and the rhythm of marching, mist and the swing of the tide. France in an oriflamme arbor of lilies that drooped in the heat. Sunlight with mighty neck arching, flecked with the foam of his pride. Out from the trenches retreating, weary and grimy and worn, lean little men paused to cheer him, turning to pass to their rest. Shrilled him a pitiful greeting, mocking the promise of morn, with hope and wild laughter to hear him answer with challenging zest. Victory! That was the spirit, once they had answered the thrill, toiled at the guns while incessant sang that invisible dread, burden of death. Ah, to hear it, merciless, animate, shrill, whining aloft in a crescent, shattering living and dead. And Sunlight? What knew he of battle? Strange was this turmoil and haste. Why should he flinch at the firing, swerve at the mangled and slain? Where was the range and the cattle? Here was but carnage and waste. Yet with a patience untiring, he answered to spur and to rein. Answered when, out of disorder, rout, and the chaos of night, came the command to his master, cover the Seventh's retreat. On, toward the flame of the border, into the burnt of the fight, swept that wild wind of disaster, on with the tide of defeat. Softly the dawn wind awaking fluttered a pennant that fell over the semblance of sunlight, stark in the pitiless day, riddled and slashed by the bullets sped from the pit of that hell. Groaning, his master beside him patted his neck where he lay. Sunlight, it wasn't for glory, England or France or the fame of victory, no, not the glowing tribute of history's pen. Good night, old chap, for I'm going. Earned it. Your death is the shame. We fought for the world, not an island. We fought for the honor of men. So we have sold them our horses. What shall we do with the gold? Lay it on charity's altar, purchasing columns of praise? Noble indeed are our courses, running the race as of old, but why should we Mammonites falter? Noble indeed are our ways. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. That Roan, Cayuse by Henry Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by ShrimpPhish. Colt she was when I spied her, stray on the open range, starvin' poor, for the feed was thin and water-holes far between. I roped her and threw and tied her, for I saw she was actin' strange, and on her breast was a barbed-wire cut, the worst I have ever seen. Talk about nursin', maybe that hoss wasn't raised by hand. Boys, they joshed when they saddled up and when they rode in at night. Shh! Don't you wake the baby. Say, can't you understand? Cussin' don't go in this horspital, or Doc'll get mad and bite. Look at her now, like copper, shinin' and sleek and strong. Follow a mountain trail all day and finish a steppin' high. Nothin' out here can stop her, and she lopes like a swallow's song. Wicked as fire to a stranger, but as gentle to me as pie. Look at her straight-up ears now, listenin' to you and me. Her eyes are asking questions, wonderin' what's to do. Understands what she hears? Now watch when I call and see how she'll circle around to my side and flatten her ears at you. Bronco, don't pay to court her. I'm bronco myself some days. Pitching when luck is a-riding me hard and piling it if I can. But a quick, hard word will hurt her, for a hoss has peculiar ways. Use any hoss like a human and he'll treat you just like a man. You'd ride her? That's not surprisin', for judgin' your legs you could. But flowers are scarce at this time of year, and there isn't a parson nigh. She sure needs exercisin'. 'Twould do her a lot of good, but I'd hate to see you a-flyin', 'cause you ain't built right to fly. Remember that old-time sayin', cinched up in a two-bit rhyme? There isn't a hoss that can't be rode, and many a rider tries. But when it comes to stayin', why, you can't stay every time. There isn't a man that can't be throwed, is the place where the song gets wise. That Roan Cayuse of the Concho. When a hoss has a name like that, you can figure its reputation without asking another word. You can roll it up in your poncho or bury it under your hat. It's just like that picture writin', means lots that you haven't heard. You straighten them ears up pronto, you showin' your teeth at me. Here, now you quit your bitin'. Do you think I'm a bale of hay? You'd buy her, she heard you say it, ears flat and eye rolling, see? Well, she is the lady to talk to, and I guess that's your answer, eh? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Outcast by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by MFQ1. With thrill of birds adown the dawn there came a golden arrow through the eastern pass, and in the gold were eyes of amber flame that burned upon me from the dewy grass. A wolf dog from some distant rancho strayed had made his bed beneath the pepper tree. A great gray ghost, sore wounded, alone, afraid, he growled deep-throated as he glared at me. With kindly word, I lured him from his bed to proffer food and drink, and nearer drew, but in his eyes I saw affection dead. 'Twas only hate and hunger that he knew. Poor brute, once brave and fearless as the best, faithful to some lost master's kindly hand, I grieved that I had so disturbed his rest, as trembling in the sun I saw him stand, fearful and yet assured that in my voice a friend he knew. He quivered, turned, and then, as though he had made choice against his choice, betook him, limping, to the road again. Slowly I followed, coaxing, calling, till the very act of fleeing lent him fear. Swiftly he climbed the long, low eastern hill, gazed back an instant, turned to disappear. And still I followed, sick at heart for him, sad for the strong, brave brute he once had been. As in the morning sun my eyes grew dim, to see him stretched again amid the green, resting his battered head upon his paws, licking his wounds, then glancing wildly round. Ah, pity that his fear was without cause! I turned and left him, stretched upon the ground, an outcast. But if human love for beast has any worth, I prayed that night would send an easy death. Ah, could he know, at least, how much I would have been his friend. End of The Outcast. This recording is in the public domain. The Killer by Henry Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by MFQ1. Got to kill to live. That's right. Trail is mighty hot and dusty. Sleeping in the brush at night. Both my guns a gettin' rusty. Sun a burnin', high and bright, on the trail to Malachite. Yonder through the blindin' glare, dreamin' down the lazy hours, stands the daub and the air, just plumb rich with scent of flowers, roses bloomin' everywhere. Wonder if she's livin' there. Now, I'll light right down and see. Buenos dias, yes, I'm back. Knew that you'd remember me. Contra outfits on my track? Senorita, thanks. I'm going down to pay the debt that's owin'. No, I'm going. Won't you shake? Say adios, for I'll miss you. Life is short, I'll always take what I want, and so I'll kiss you. Show, there's no one round to see us. Just one more and then adios. Better ride the other way? Thanks again, that smile is a winnin'. Sheriff now is your Jose. Gosh, that makes a tough beginnin'. But that kiss is worth a fight, anytime in Malachite. Bronc, you take your drink, and I'll sift in here and see what's doin'. Same old sign, the 40-mile. Old saloon is most a ruin. How amigo? Some hot day. Howdy, Pedro. How, Jose? Don't get nervous. Have a drink. Yes, I'm on the job to buy it. Show. Why, I can hear you think. Keep your hands still. Don't you try it. I come friendly. Call me, eh? Take it then, you fool, Jose. Had to kill to live, the fool. Might have drowned his glass of liquor, but a chola can't keep cool. And he knew my hand was quicker, but he had to call my hand. Wonder if she'll understand. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Apuni Oyi, Butterfly Lodge by Henry Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by Larry Thomas. There's a lodge in Arizona where the rugged pines are marching straight and stalwart up the hillside till they gather on the crest, and around their feet the grasses and the purple flowers are arching in the dim and golden glamour of the sunlight in the west. In the lodge, Apuni Oyi, dwells the chief who writes the stories of the Blackfeet mighty hunters in the pleasant days of old. Tales of love and war and friendship, tales of mysteries and glories, when the prairie moon was silver and the sun was fairy gold, and the trails along the mountains o'er the mesas and the river lead to far and hidden cafeons where the sleeping red men lie, wrapped in silence as above them myriad aspen leaves a quiver, whisper secrets to the west wind as the pack train ambles by, where the swarth Apache hunts and dreams of warriors now a-dreaming, where the mountain streams run swiftly, talking loudly to the day, to the rock-rimmed pool and onward as an unexpected gleaming marks the trout that leaps to vanish in a burst of silver spray. trails that climb the rocky fortress of the ridge and have their ending in forlorn and ravaged temples of a people all unknown. Trails we make, and did we know it, on and on forever blending with the red man's toward the sunset are no clearer than his own. Oh, the hills of Arizona in the pleasant autumn weather. Oh, the lodge, Apuni Oyis, where is happiness and rest? May the dreams we share come true. May we live them all together. We who love the ancient magic of the mountains of the West. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Peace of the Hills by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by ShrimpPhish. Up in the mighty hills, where the breeze of the sea tosses the purple bells of the budding flowers that nod to the musical drone of the questing bee, when the sun breaks forth in a golden symphony, and life is not measured by joy or grief or the hours, there stands a castle splendid with many towers up in the mighty hills. Its gates are of burnished gold and ivory, its roof is jeweled with myriad wonderful stars, and within is a throne that is veiled in the mystery, and the weaver of dreams alone has the magic key. The weaver of dreams alone may unlock the bars of the palace where never the voice of a mortal mars the peace of the mighty hills. Have ye sought for the gates of gold and ivory? Have ye stooped to the fragrant bells of the budding flowers? Have ye followed the musical drone of the questing bee, as the sun broke forth in a golden symphony, till time was not measured by joy or grief or the hours? And so ye have entered the gates of those magic towers, and the peace of the mighty hills. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. In the Valley by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by ShrimpPhish. In the valley of Parnassus, where we minor poets ride, there's a trail meandering upward to the parent peak sublime, and we've seen lone riders pass us as we reined our steeds aside, vowing then that we would make it, given elbow room and time. One by one we've faced the highland, dared the fate of those that seek. On and up, as rhythmic echoes from the golden heights were sped. Fairy sunlight, cloudy island, lofty ledge, and farthest peak, till the trail was lost in midnight, and we turned about and fled. Hastened back with bridles ringing as we neared the wider land, turned our ponies out to pasture, found a friend to sympathize with the tenor of our singing of the beautiful at hand, in a rhythm caught from echoes flitting down from rarer skies. Yet we'd have no one suppose us all unfitted for the task. We have failed, but we have tried it, giving brain and heart and hand to the triumph, quite like Moses, of our failure, and we ask just to glimpse the smiling splendor of a far and promised land. So we sing and often chorus, though each deems the song his own, as we ride the pleasant valleys spread with starry flowers of blue. We've Parnassus still before us, high and splendid, proud and lone, and the solid satisfaction of a comrade's equal view. Fame and folk will soon forget us, even as we shall forget. But there still remains Parnassus for the coming ones to dare. And, perchance, the muse will let us pluck a stave or violet, as we pass beyond the valley and dissolve in upper air. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Quest by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by Lauren Beverly. Morning wakes the meadowlark, adown the field he's singing. From out his glowing hermitage of poppies in the grass, the sunlight shatters in the hills, and shreds of mist are clinging athwart the dim and lofty peaks that mark the mountain pass. Ah, don't you hear above the song, far fairy echoes falling, each fainter as a haze of gold rekindles bud and tree, low, sweet, and alien melody still calling, 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 across the long and shadowy slopes that run to meet the sea? The fragrance of the purple sage, the trail forever wending into the desert dun and wide through haunted lands and drear, communion with the silences and solitudes unending, are dearer to my heart than love, though love were ever dear. You see that you would come with me and find those hidden places, daring the hazard of the way, whate'er the way betide, adventuring to dream the dream of fair, mysterious faces that haunt the outer loneliness, but ne'er where twain abide. The dew of tears upon your eyes, your gentle fingers reaching to clasp the vision ere it melt and mingle with the dawn. But oh, my dear, the voices call despite your lips beseeching. Love was our monarch yesterday. Today the king is gone. To each alone the voices call. To each his own beholding of that diviner mystery elusive as the gold. The sun has woven with your hair a flower of love unfolding. But being so, close I may not touch the power that bids unfold. That which men seek and may not find, for that my heart is yearning. Love were less perfect should it chide the soul that fain would know. And oh, my dear, the voices call, and yours for my returning. Yet through your tears the vision comes, and you have bid me go. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Glorious Fool by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by Darby. Christ save me from half-hearted men, who time their steps by hour and rule, who measure life by word and pen, too pale of mind to play the fool. For me, the glorious fool that rides high-poised upon the neck of fate, who laughs when palsied censure chides, who dares to love and dares to hate. O fool, on your adventure trail that flames across the farthest wave, the storm that thunders in your sail, the tide that swings above your grave. Stars mirrored in the dreamless sea, white faces of the loves you knew, great-hearted men who dare be free, chant deathless requiem to you. Captain of causes lost, forlorn, drunk with the glory of the strife, you met with joy each fighting morn, full-throated, drinking deep of life. Mad lover striding overbold through uncompanioned loveless years, still are you victor, still you hold the memory of those lips, those tears. Atom of starfire, lightly tossed to the abysmal maw of time. Wise men foregathering whisper lost, but to their hearts they cry sublime. And I? Ah, would that I might these rude stanzas shape to worth and rule, but like to you, I may not please half-hearted men, O glorious fool. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Tramp by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by MFQ1. Yonder, upon the road he stands, Ulysses in a modern guise, dreaming of undiscovered lands beyond the azure of the skies, of some Penelope whose eyes long years of waiting may not dim, though reason whisper otherwise. Still in his heart she waits for him. To him, no matter what it brings, the game of life is but a jest. He has no time to seek the things for which we toil. Supreme unrest impels him with a wider zest. Though nonchalant, past all our strife, true to himself he stands the test, and as he chooses, lives his life. With smooth contempt we pass him by, or patronize him for a space. His is the larger charity, with no contempt upon his face, for he, with somewhat nobler grace, endures the sun, the wind, the rain, and man. How well he knows his place, and turns him to the road again. Circe may lure him with her smile, and siren melodies delight his keen, deliberate ear the while. He seeks his star and reads aright the promise of the summer night, and dawn upon the mountain dim. He knows that far beyond the height, Penelope still waits for him. End of the Tramp. This recording is in the public domain.
Trail to Glory by Henry Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by Larry Thomas. Could old Trail to Glory preach? Seems he understood this land, where you have to learn firsthand without books and such to teach. One brand from another brand, having nothing more to lose. When a Sunday come around, we would squat here on the ground, 20 of us buckaroos, never making airy sound. While he opened up the ball, singing first, then praying low, like them little winds that blow sand around the chaparral, kind of easy like and slow. Seemed to us just like a game. You play this and I'll play that. Trail to Glory standing pat, never working any frame, never passing round the hat. For he warn't out for money, pard, had his job just like the rest, riding, roping with the best, working hard and sweating hard, waiting for that day of rest. When it come, he changed his clothes, seems to us just like a game, staking all on just a name, talking quiet like to those that he knew he couldn't tame, till one day the showdown came. Swung my rope and lasted a steer. Hoss he bucked and I got piled. Steer come at me frothing wild. Trail to Glory riding near, jumped and saved me, and he smiled. That was all I knew a spell. Then I saw the boys around, something stretched out on the ground. 'Twarn't no steer, I knew right well. Boys a-making nary sound. Yes, that's all there is to tell. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Yeabo's Adventure by Henry Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Lawley. There was no other trail to choose, so Yeabo, boldly venturing, struck out across the mesa dim beneath the budding star. And 20 happy buckaroos, with wit that needed censoring, retailed the joke they played on him for gathering at the bar. Yet romance, ever kind to those who know not ordered latitudes, but follow wandering where she calls, in sun or wind or rain, smiled as he told the world his woes, histrionic in his attitudes, as o'er the loom of chance she drove the shuttle back again. And Yeabo, he became her knight and sported strange habiliment, cowpuncher boots, loud spur and chaps, brass-studded belt and gun, and found to his untold delight that fear was but a filament beneath such trapping, pose or wit, but known to every one. He was no poet, yet beguiled the muse that had rare charm for him, and set his pony's feet to verse, robust and tinged with red, while bland Utopia frowned and smiled and frowned, but wished no harm to him, who dared the heights above the lamp, where angels fear to tread. When love threw down a golden gauge in sunny land sequestering, poor Yeabo's heart was in his boots, commingled joy and gloom, as there athwart his pilgrimage, with Andalusian gesturing, the immemorial eve appeared bedecked in almond bloom. Then came the battle all too soon, the range re-echoed thundering, as nimble six guns let and spake peremptorily and loud, a jest, a laugh, inopportune, then bickering and blundering, that launched the hate as lightning leaps from cloud oppressing cloud. Yet naught may veil the sun for long, and Yeabo from his pondering rose valiant, riding many a mile to woo in concrete guise the Spanish lady of his choice, the dream girl of his wandering, his dusty rose with slow, sweet smile and soft, alluring eyes. He married her and settled down. Romance and love were kind to him. He ceased to rope the running steer and took to baling hay. Nor fame nor fortune cared he for, and they who first were blind to him ran hand in hand to hunt him out down Arizona way. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Sheep by Henry Herbert Knibbs, read for LibriVox by Greg Giordano. An undulating, dusty patch they move along the margin of the canyon stream. Beside the herder stand the watchful dogs, with ears alert and eyes that read his face. He sees his semblance by the midday sun, dwarfed on the glaring sand. The sheep move on and vanish in the slumberous cedar shade. The drowsy lizard blinks in noon Elysium. A bee clings to the nodding mountain flower, unfearful o'er the sunlit fairy vale. Far, far below, green isles of tiny trees, dappling a sea of palpitating sand. Slow-paced the hours, yet swift the twilight change. A flare of opal spaces in the west, shot with a crimson triumph. Then the night, low call and plaintive answer, till the sheep lie bedded round the fire, and silence dreams. Star after star is blotted from the mask, and quick, cool fingers lift the wavering veil that hangs above the canyon's dusky brim. The morning hills awake and rise to view. The mesa reaches sprinkled o'er with bloom. The shepherd of the dawn has loosed his flock of silvery sheep to graze celestial pastures, while, plunging, rears the sun, a golden ram, who leaps the fiery confines of his fold, whereon hang curling shreds of snowy fleece, torn from his eager sides. The canyon stream, unruffled, bears the aspect of the sky. Filches a floating cloud that drifts across, the mirrored foliage twinkling in the deep, cool gardens of its placid underworld. The dogs are up and out, the shuffling flock, pours from the bedding ground, and grazing wends down to the foot-worn shallows. Against the blue, lone on the height, the shepherd hums a song. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Johnny Joe by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by Larry Thomas. Just turn me loose on them hills a spell. Hear the rein chains jingle and saddle creak. And after Chuck, that there pack horse bell. Way off, jing-jangling, hear it speak. Say a minute of that is worth a week. In town, and the wind is drifting slow, a-piling the sand round the chaparral. And them damn coyotes singing all together. It's great, ain't it, Johnny Joe? But whoa, I must shine up my language some. This ain't no roundup. This here is verse. That's a lopin' along, and it's got to come. Like the parson says, for good or worse. So I'll clamp my knees and just let her hum. The wind of the dawn has swept the plains, and the sun runs over the purple sage. Gone is the rack of the winter rains, leaving the hills like a fairy page of a book that is old but is ever new, and fresh as the wild flowers, sweet with dew. Gosh, I'm riding close to the fence and low, and straining my buttons. Hey, Johnny Joe, it ain't no use for to talk like that. It's second-hand scenery made to print. Just hand me my old gray puncher hat and them spurs and quirt. Do you get the hint? For I got to ride easy with elbows high. Maybe not style, but she sure has go. We'll all get to heaven by and by, but we'll travel outdoors. Johnny Joe. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Toby by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by Melissa DeSantis. Toby. Have you ever heard a fellow talking nonsense to a horse when he'd stop to pull a cinch-a-tide or take a little rest? Have you ever seen that same Cayuse stand looking at his boss with eyes that seemed to say, "I like you best"? Well, my bronco little Toby, he had eyes that talked like that. We got pretty well acquainted, understood each other right as we traveled hills and mesas, he as nimble as a cat, on the stiffest trail that ever came in sight. It was, "Toby, come! We'll beat it to the reservation line. 3 line riders over yonder. If they see us, we're in wrong." Then the pace that Toby'd set him o'er the grass and through the pine made the wind that whistled by sound like a song. In the camp, he'd browse at night around his picket by the fire, stop to raise his head and watch me like an interested kid. In the morning he would nicker, seem to say, "Let's take a flyer, let's go somewhere," and you bet your boots we did. Just how much that hoss could say, well, I can't exactly say, but I told him once of Yuma, the Cayuse I left behind when I hit the dry and dusty comin' Arizona way. Told him she was just another of his kind. Well, his eyes, they did the talking, shining big and round and bright. Said, "Might like to meet the lady with the blue and glassy eye. Never been in California, but if you're talking right, she's a peach. And is she married? Is she shy?" I told him she was single, fat and pinto, kind of fair, full of ginger and affection that got badly mixed at times, that she never frizzed her mane or brushed her teeth or combed her hair, but that she was celebrated in some rhymes. He seemed quite interested, and her Arizona name being Yuma set him thinking that my she-Cayuse was great. But he never showed him jealous, being wise and kind and game when I talked about our California state. But since then, he's acted offish with the horses on the range. Nothing mean, but kind of proud-like. Kept his place and stayed away from their runs and fights and dinners. Maybe now you'll think it's strange if I tell you what I heard that Toby say to the mountain-bred cayuses when they dared to ask him why. "Oh," said Toby, "pretty weather, just like California air. Must excuse me, but a lady with a blue and glassy eye, boss's friend, is waiting for me over there." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
That Inside Song by Henry Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by ShrimpPhish. Bo, it's going to be hot all right. Sun's a floodin' the eastern range. Mebbe the camp was some cold last night, but there's nothing like having a little change. Not money, but just lots of room for me. Hills and mountains and plains and such. For the eyes that I got, they were made to see, and my ears to hear, but they don't hear much. Only a kind of an inside song, like when the grasshopper's feeling glad, singing rickety-click and there's nothing wrong, and after the coffee, things ain't so bad. The wind is making my bed for me, smoothing the grass where I'm going to flop, when the quail roosts up in the live oak tree, and my legs feel like as they want to stop. Pal or no pal, it's about the same, for nobody knows how you feel inside. Hitting the grit is a lonesome game, but quit, no matter how hard I tried. Oh, maybe I will when that inside song quits a-handing me out the glad. Singing, buckle 'em up, for there's nothing wrong, and after the coffee, it ain't so bad. Bo, I've beat it from lost to main, and then, not knowing just what to do, I turned and slippered it back again, wanting to see, just the same as you, riding rods and a-dodging flies, eating at times when my luck was good, spailing the con to the easy guys, but never just making it understood, even to me, why that inside song keeps a-handing me out the glad, singing, ramble along, for there's nothing wrong, and after the coffee, things ain't so bad. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Old Timer by Henry Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Lawley. Morning on the Malibu, mist across the ranges, ponies bucking everywhere. Whoop and let her buck. Bud is standing on his head. Bill is making changes in his style of cuisine, and he's having plenty luck. When it comes to riding broncs, listen to me, stranger. Takes a hoss. What is a hoss to Pa your Uncle Sam? Whoa, you think you're going to dump an old-time Texas Ranger? Just excuse me for a spell. I'll take it out of him. Hump, you side of bacon, you. Spin till you get dizzy. I could roll a cigarette while you are doing such. Maybe now you think that you are keeping me right busy. Wished I had my knitting for you. Don't amount to much. As I was saying, stranger, whoomp, now, ding, that pinto devil. Gosh, and to what goes with it, but he parred me, sure enough. I was riding on the square, and now I'm on the level. Serves me right for talking and pretending I was tough. Ought to buy a rocking chair. Get a pair of crutches. Here the boys are jostling me. Now they got the chance. Bold is digging angel worms with his nose. Now such is mighty childish jossin. Say, 'fore you was wearing pants. I was riding broncs and didn't have to pull no leather. Broncs that poured a star down every time they took a jump. And I weren't 62 them days. I didn't feel the weather. Give me 40 year off, and I'll lick you in a lump. Laugh, you moving picture kids. Think you're punching tackle? I was raised in Texas where a steer is called a steer. I have done some riding that would make your eye teeth rattle. From the Tonto to Montana riding range for 40 year. Guess I got 'em thinking now, thinking strong and quiet. Mad at them? Why, stranger, I'm an old-time buckaroo. Don't get mad at nothing. If they're living, let 'em try it. Riding range and roping when they're turned of 62. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Fighting Parson by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by Valentin Roberts. He was a right good man, a parson too. Deep-chested, tall, and straight. He had an eye you couldn't get away from. Kind and blue, and wise to all it saw, just like the sky out here in Arizona. Always clear, or mostly clear. Of course, sometimes it rained, but if the Fighting Parson shed a tear, the peace he lost some other fellow gained. The parson sometimes had to use his hands and save his wind to finish up a fight. He didn't just stand up and give commands in settling what was wrong and what was right. He backed his words in good two-fisted style and never quit until the job was done. Yes, he could shoot and ride, get licked, and smile as easy after as when he begun. But mighty few could handle him at that. He was all men, religion it came next. If talking wouldn't do, off came his hat and coat, and then his double-barreled text. Once he got licked, the only time I know, it kind of scared us, seeing him go down, dropped by a hiding smash from Placer Joe, who just rode in to salivate the town. If that's the best you got, said Placer Joe, go rope a real one somewhere. No one spoke until the Fighting Parson, rising slow, brushed off his clothes just like it was a joke. No, not the best, he said, and not the worst. Perhaps I was mistaken in my plan. We'll try again, but let me tell you first, you haven't whipped religion, just a man. What if I'm whipped again? That's not the end. What if you kill me and my spirit sped up to my master? Let me tell you, friend, he'll send as good or better in my stead. That staggered Joe. He hadn't thought of that, and something seemed to kill his wish to fight. He grinned and fumbled foolish with his hat and said, "By gosh, I guess that parson's right." The parson wasn't licked at that, but hid the knockdown. Having better in his hand, they made him bishop, sir, and when they did, we lost the finest parson in the land. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Romance by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by Darby. No more, no more my blithe romance along the outland trails shall dance, and never more in sweet surprise and swift shall she make glad mine eyes, singing along the harbor slips with coaxing laughter on her lips. No more the joy of ranging spars, the stinging drift, the wind-swept stars, the shouting storm, the foam-flecked sea, shall thrill the weary soul of me. No more the flame of woodland fires shall warm my heart with far desires. Lost mesa reaches, hills of night, soft southern eyes with love alight, and longing, lips that now are mute, once singing to the magic lute, lost in the stealth of years and fled, leaving their silent ghosts instead. The thunder roll, the blind stampede, the shout, the shot, the falling steed, scarlet serape, silver spur, belt and sombrero worn for her, loyally, for my goddess, who replaced the laurel with the rue. The drifting herd, the blinding noon, scant cedar shade and lazy croon of Andalusian cadence old, dawn, and the valley brimmed with gold, mañana, and the dreamy days out where the prairie ponies graze. Crouched where the morning sunlight gleams, gaunt at my feet my wolf dog dreams, yea, and I dream here, lone, forlorn, who once in red adventure's morn wakened with romance at my side, to touch her lips, long since denied. And still I love her, ever young, youth following with his songs unsung, eyes brave with hope, heart strong and pure, while lissom fingers beckoning lure. Youth following where her steps may wend, nor dreaming that the trail must end. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. I Knew a Boy by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by Darby. I knew a boy who, at the pasture gate, shouted and laughed to see the ponies run. A barefoot urchin, sturdy, live, elate, who rode them all, the worst and best, for fun. Was tumbled from the worst, stuck to the best and loved them, yea, nor deemed the old rail fence a barrier to dismount for, but made test, aptly the soul of whither going hence. Knew not nor cared no more than did his steed, unbitted, playful, wild, and ne'er in hand, till, breathless, and the pasture mullein weed, they stopped, the woe gratuitous command. I knew a boy, perchance it was the same, though time had wrought its certain outward change, who still, though seldom silent, played the game with branding iron and rope on western range. The clean, clear tan of sun upon his cheek, the light of morning in his laughing eye, seeking adventure to the farthest peak, or watching dream-led cavalcades go by. Swiftly the golden shuttle of the dream darted across the loom of sunlit hours, till romance, tiring of the weaver's beam, vanished among the nodding prairie flowers. The high trail dwindled in the sunset glow, and laughter ceased. Instead came reverie, to pace beside him, silent, wan, and slow, until his wondering eyes beheld the sea. Sadly he watched the gray gulls dip and ride, the swollen ridges rushing to the shore, then rise to wing across the sounding tide that drummed a slow, reiterant nevermore. Then something that had slept throughout the years deep in his heart awakened. Nay, my joy shall not be tarnished by these futile tears, because, he laughed, because I knew a boy. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Braves of the Hunt by Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by MFQ1. Braves that go out with your guides and gold and the polished tube of steel, playing safe with the hunting pack, the trap, and the prism glass, slaying the moose or the silver tip, e'en as you pause and kneel, loosing the power that ye wield for shame. So do our monarchs pass. Not for the hunger of babes ye hunt, for mother or aged sire, not to the red gods, offering the blood of your lust to kill, not with the strength of your brawn and thew, matching the fury fire of the beast that fights for the life it loves, nay, but with sneaking skill. Ye speed the sting of the spreading slug, giving your lust a name, sport, to shatter the buoyant life, to sever the silver thread. Then ye stand with a gun in hand, grinning your pictured shame. See at my feet the mighty thing that I struck dead. When ye have toiled on the foot-worn trail till the hunger pinch is keen, when ye have stood as a man with men, earning your wage through strife of the outland ways, ye have fair excuse to kill, and the kill be clean. Then, perchance, will the vaunt be lost in fostering life with life. Sport, to slay with no cause to slay, not even the pride of hate. Courage, then stand to an even chance, facing a foeman's gun. Out in the open, eye to eye, for honor of kin or state. O ye who slink in the woven blind, seeking to kill for fun. Would that ye lay by the wounded thing that crawls to the brush to die. Would that ye knew the biting pain and that lingering thirst of hell, writhing down to the darksome pit, as ye vainly implored the sky, asking it if there once was God that made ye and loved ye well. Perhaps when the hand that fashioned all shall strike, and the earth be dumb, out of the dim and the voiceless vast, back to their own again, herd and band and the mated beasts, fearless and free shall come, knowing not of the ancient fear of a tribe that were named as men. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Trailmakers by Henry Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Lawley. North and west along the coast, among the misty islands, sullen in the grip of night and smiling in the day, Nunivak and Akutin, with Nome against the highlands, on we drove with plated prow, agleam with frozen spray. Loud we sang, adventuring, and lustily we jested, quarrelled, fought, and then forgot the taunt, the blow, the jeers, named a friend and clasped a hand, and compact sealed, attested, shared tobacco, yarns, and drink, and planned surpassing years. Then the snow that locked the trail where famine's shadow followed, out across the blinding white and through the stabbing cold, past tents along the tundra over faces blotched and hollowed, toothless mouths that babbled foolish songs of hidden gold. Wisdom lacking, sinews for the toil gave o'er the trying, fools with thews of iron blundered on and won the fight. Weaklings drifted homeward, else they tarried, worse than dying, with the painted lips and wastrels on the edges of the night. Those of us who found the gold, we followed with the others, dazzled by the glamour of the whores and women's eyes. When the poke was empty, then we borrowed from another's, till a grim repentance called us out to face the skies. Berries of the Saskatoon were ripening and falling, flowers decked the barren with its timber scant and low. All along the river trail were many voices calling, and in the whimpering malamutes they heard, unwind to go. Eyelids seared with fire of ice, and frosted parka edges, firelight like a spray of blood on faces lean and brown. Shifting shadows of the pines across our loaded sledges, and far behind the fading trail, the lights and lure of town. So we played the bitter game, nor asked for praise or pity. Wind and wolf, they found the bones that blazed out lonely trails, where a dozen shacks were set. Today there blooms a city, now where once was empty blue, there pass 1,000 sails. Scarce a peak that does not mark the grave of those who perished, nameless lost the lips of men, who followed gleaning fame, From the soundless triumph of adventurers who cherished naught above the glory of a chance to play the game, half the toil, and we had won to wealth in other station, rusted out, as useless ere our worth was tried and known. But the hand that made us caught us up and hewed a nation from the frozen fastness that so long was his alone. Loud we sang adventuring, and lustily we jested, quarrelled, fought, and then forgot the taunt, the blow, the jeers. Sinned and slaved, and vanished we, the giant men who wrestled truth from out a dream wherein we planned surpassing years. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Idle Noon by Henry Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox by MFQ1. Do you remember the camp we made as we nooned on the mesa floor, where the grass rolled down like a running sea in the wind, and the world our own? You laughed as you sat in the cedar shade and said 'twas the ocean shore of an island lost in the wizardry of dreams for ourselves alone. Our ponies grazed in the drowsy noon, unsaddled, at ease and slow, and the ranges dim were a fairyland, blue hills in a haze of gray. Hands clasped on knee, you hummed a tune, a melody light and low. Do you remember the venture planned in jest, for your heart was gay? We'll saddle and ride to the unknown end of the long, long trail ahead. Sun and wind and the evening star and the flame of our evening fire. Wherever the mesa trail may wend, we'll follow and find, you said. Haunted hills that are lost afar and the valley of heart's desire. Ride to the last grim cannon edge and rest on the brim of space. Find a trail to its very heart that only the eagles know. Sing as we round the riven ledge that is hewn in its mighty face, that gazes down on the silver strand of a stream and the pines below. Love, we'll leave till the quest is o'er, and live in a magic land, homeless, free as the fearless wind that runs o'er the mountain towers. And the upland lake with its trackless shore shall mirror a woman's hand and a woman's face as she bends to bind a fillet of purple flowers. Thus you sang as the ponies grazed through the heat of that idle noon, while you dreamed of a fairyland, dreamed till the sunset fire called you back to the world, amazed that the journey should end so soon. And so must ever a venture planned to the valley of heart's desire. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Cowboys Ball, with a change of tune, by Henry Herbert Knibbs, read for LibriVox by Brian Fullen. Yip, 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 tuning up the fiddle, you and take your partner there standing by the wall. Say how, make a bow, and sashay down the middle. Shake your leg lively at the Cowboys Ball. Big feet, little feet, all the feet a clickin'. Everybody happy and the goose a hangin' high. Lope, trot, hit the spot, like a colt a kickin'. Keep a stompin' leather while you got one eye. Yahoo, Larry, would you watch his wings a floppin', jumpin' like a chicken that is lookin' for its head? Hi, yip, never slip, and never think of stoppin'. Just keep your feet a-movin' till we all drop dead. High heels, low heels, moccasins and slippers. Real old rally round the dipper and the keg. Uncle Ed's gettin' red. Had too many dippers. Better get him hobbled or he'll break his leg. Yip, 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 tunin' up the fiddle. Pass him up another, for his arm is gettin' slow. Bow down, right in town, and sassy down the middle. Got to keep a-movin' for to see the show. Yes, ma'am, warm, ma'am, want to rest a minute. Like to get a breath of air looking at the stars. All right, fine night. Dance, there's nothing in it. That's my pony there, peeking through the bars. Bronc, ma'am, no, ma'am, gentle as a kitten. Here, boy, shake a hand. Now, ma'am, you can see. Night's cool, what a fool to dance, instead of sittin' like a gent and lady, same as you and me. Yip, 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 tunin' up the fiddle. Well, them as likes the exercise sure can have it all. Right wing, ladies swing, and sassy down the middle. But this beats dancing at the Cowboys Ball. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Pearl of the Atolls by Henry Herbert Knibbs. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Where coral atolls glimmered in the sun, where the slow sea gave back our weary sails, we came to anchor. Long had been the run, and welcome was the rest from ocean trails. Like a lone seabird in the blue lagoon, our schooner idly swung, while overside long broken masts lay wavering in a moon of moving silver mirrored on the tide. The woven hut that fronted on the sand, the crimson parakeets, the languorous fronds, the laughter of the girls as hand in hand they ran to bathe among the lily ponds. We bartered with the natives for their pearls, and gained them all save one dark pearl alone, jewel among those dusky village girls, pearl of the atolls, love had made mine own. When fortune turned these golden days to gold, lost voices called across the flickering foam. Again adown the trails our schooner rolled, back to the ancient harbour we called home. Home! Years again we sought that magic shore, with wide sea wings alert for every breeze. But vanished was our island dream of yore, lost in the wide and unremembering seas. O magic island, where, oh where are ye? Sweet laughter, alien song, and voices sweet. Pearl of the atolls, rise from out the sea that answers not, and make the dream complete. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. End of Riders of the Stars, a book of Western verse by Henry Herbert Knibbs.